Hey everybody, welcome to another Tiki Tuesday. I'm Brian Miller. Tonight we're going to have a ton of fun drawing, sharing cocktails, all the normal Tiki stuff. So good to see everybody out there. Thank you for joining tonight. Tonight's cocktail is the Blue Hawaiian. Give you the recipe on that one real quick. Oh, thanks for liking, Alex. Good to see you. So here's our Blue Hawaiian. Let me see if I can get the recipe there for you. We've got pineapple juice, blue curacao, golden rum, cream of coconut, and if you got a lime wedge or a pineapple wedge, you can throw one on there. As always, that's from the Great Tiki Drink Book. So let's give this sucker a nice shake. It's gonna be a good color. Can we see that? Oh, it's gonna look really nice. Gonna get that cream of coconut shook up in there real good. There we go. Let's see how that looks tonight. We get a little Blue Hawaiian action there. Check that out. What a great color. It just looks tasty, doesn't it? Oh, it's gonna be so good. We'll save this bit for later. But yeah, it's good to see you guys. I hope everyone's having a very good week so far. Cheers to everybody. Enjoy your Blue Hawaiian or whatever cold beverage you're drinking. Let me know what you're having tonight. Let me know what you're enjoying. Ooh, that is tasty. Let's see who's joining us tonight. Good to see you, Monique. Good to see you, Whitney. Monique says hi, and Whitney says hola, and Quench Press says aloha. And Whitney's already redeemed to hydrate, so cheers to you, Whitney. And coming to you from my lovely kitchen because I'm still deskless for the time being. But that's a story for later. Tonight's artwork is going to be the Liki Tikis from Disney. Oh, good to see you, Catherine. Whitney says vanilla double dry hopped velvet IPA. Wow, that does sound really good. That sounds really good. I mean, if you're not going to have a fruity tiki drink, you might as well have yourself a nice IPA. Sounds fantastic. So yeah, we've got the Liki Tikis tonight. Now, these were originally in Walt Disney World, and they were designed by Mark Davis, who also had worked on Haunted Mansion and a lot of the other classic attractions. You probably recognize maybe in some of the faces a little bit of his style. And then at some time, they were next to the Jungle Cruise dock. And sometime in the 1990s, they replaced the originals with fiberglass replicas that were made to look like carved tikis. And that's when they added the spitting feature. They could spit water at you. And that's why they became known as the Liki Tikis. They've since been added to a couple of other Disney parks, including Hong Kong Disney. So the Liki Tikis, this is a sketch commission. So this one was a request, a commission. Oh, and Ash Corbin, here we go, says, it's my tikis. I love the layout. Oh, excellent, thanks. Well, we're going to have a little bit of foliage back here, and then, of course, the tikis. And maybe when we get to the paint, I'll put a little bit of water on the ground or something. We'll see how it goes. But, yeah, the Liki Tikis. And thanks for joining us tonight, Ash Corbin. I hope you like this one. Cheers to you guys, and we'll dive in. But, yeah, Whitney, let us know what he's drinking. Let me know what your cocktail choice is tonight, what you are imbibing, as it were, during our Tiki Tuesday. Inquiring minds want to know. And let me know how your week is going. I have a little bit of sad news. So we had a stray cat that we didn't know anything about. We just noticed her in our yard. She was kind of coming and going. And then one day, I saw her crawl into some of our shrubberies, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. And so later that night, I was going to grill something on the barbecue, and I just kind of peeked over there, and I saw the mama cat all wrapped up in there, and I saw a baby face poking out. And I came in, I told Christy, I was like, oh my gosh, that stray cat's got kittens in our backyard. And so Christy sort of had did everything to try to, like, you know, leave out some food and some water and just try to help her, but without interfering. And unfortunately, I think whether it's some other predator or this tomcat that came around, a couple, like 2 of the 4 kittens disappeared. So that wasn't good. And then Mama Cat got spooked and moved all the remaining kittens out. So that was really sad. Christy was really heartbroken over that because she really enjoyed seeing the stray cat and her kittens and had planned on, once they were old enough, taking Mama and the kittens and getting them spayed and everything. So she was very, very heartbroken for that. But Mama Cat did come back around tonight, like she was looking for some food or something. So we'll probably keep putting a dish of food and water out for her, just so she stays nourished to take care of her babies. But it was a sad, sad day for sure. Whitney's like, the kittens. Yeah, I know. It was sad. And I was telling Christy, I was like, they're wild animals. They don't know that we're trying to help them. So we can sort of only do what we can do, Quinch Press says, I got my first vaccination shot on Sunday, and I read an article that as alcohol lowers your immune system for full efficiency to avoid alcohol before and after, so I'm not drinking tonight. Oh, that's interesting. I had not heard that. They did not tell us that when I got my shot, but that was a while ago, so best to follow doctor's orders. Hopefully you can enjoy a mocktail or bubbly water or something tonight. Woody says, hey, Quinch Press, good thing I'm drinking tonight and getting my first vaccination tomorrow. Well, I'm glad to hear so many people getting the vaccine. I did read an article that basically said that as more people get the vaccine, people who had previously said they were not going to get it are starting to change their mind and come around. It's a pretty big number too. Like it dropped from, they had it state by state, but it dropped from, something like, 18 or 22% nationwide down to like the low teens. So it's definitely good to hear that more people are being a little more open-minded to it. And it just shows that peer pressure works in both directions, right? Peer pressure works. So, be sure to let everybody know. You're like, I got vaccinated. Whitney says, today was my first day back after almost a week off. So I basically spent all day cleaning up emails. Boy, I can believe that. Inbox, man. Inbox. That's a legit problem. I know. I find myself like once a month just having to go and like, why did I get this email? Unsubscribe, like things normally you just delete, right? But like, being like, wait, I didn't ask for this, and just take a day. It's just like unsubscribe to all this stuff that you never signed up for. Whitney says we finally found an available appointment, so the first vaccine tomorrow for Catherine and me. That's so great. That's fantastic news. I'm so glad to hear that people in other states are finally having the opportunity. A friend of mine in the Midwest was really struggling with finding the opportunity, and I suggested that he works at a big company, and I said, maybe look into having people at your company go volunteer at the vaccination site and see what the deal is. And so sure enough, they said, yeah, we'd love it, have 20 or 30 people come out here and volunteer and we will vaccinate you. And so they're doing that, and they've already got their first shots. And so if you are low on the line or something like that, or in a state where it's a slow rollout, maybe consider volunteering. You'll be helping other people and help yourself at the same time. So not a bad idea. for sure. But I definitely think it's a good thing. The more the merrier. You know what I'm saying? So these Liki Tikis, these are so cool. So cool. And I'm just going to do like some rough outlines on these guys, and then we'll get out the paints and start to put some color and some detail into them. But I really like these guys, and sometimes you can't get in and get a good photo because like kids are splashing in the water, but that's okay because, you know, Disney's for kids first and foremost, and the rest of us just get to sort of enjoy it anyway. So it's been really strange though not being in the park for over a year. You know, I'm usually at Epcot every year, and I was not there this year, and I'm for the Festival of the Arts. I'm usually there every year for that. This is the first year that I wasn't. I'm really sad about that. And I have no idea why or anything like that. Like none of the decision making was shared with me. But it was definitely very sad because I've been there every year since they started the festival. And then, you know, I'm usually there for either a D23 or Galaxy's Edge visit or something like that. So it's been really strange to not be at the Disney parks for a long time. And so many of my friends that work at the parks don't work there anymore, you know, because they got let go or they found other jobs in the meantime while they're waiting to go back. Some of them went back to school, so it's definitely been strange for sure. Ash says, I volunteered to help distribute at a distribution site last week, and they got crushed with traffic the day after Ducey dropped the age limit. Oh man, yeah, I definitely believe that. Yeah, I believe that. I mean, I'm glad that it's open, especially since I was reading that like the majority of, not the majority, but a significant number of the new cases right now are, you know, are coming from younger, like, you know, 18, 19, 20 something. So, and some of these new strains are supposed to be a little bit more aggressive and deadly. So the more people we can get vaccinated faster, the better. But that's great that you were volunteering. I think it's fantastic to see people come together and help one another during these very trying times. All right. These tikis are so much fun. My goodness. Speaking of tikis, I have 0 updates for you guys on either of the tiki mugs. I can tell you that the Witch Doctor's Potion is in the sculpture phase, and so it's being sculpted. I have no idea how long that will take. It's just whatever place in line we are. So we'll see how long that takes. And then the last I heard on the Tiki Tango Drunken Rum Barrel mug was that they were waiting on the first batch of ceramics to get done on it so they could start doing some test glazes. So that's all I know. It's, you know, like I said before, I was warned that making these tiki mugs takes a lot longer than anybody thinks. And it's true. I haven't gone back and checked what the date was of our first Drunken Rum Barrel sketch. But it definitely feels like it's been a while, right? Definitely feels like it's been a little bit. So I'm interested to see which one of these two gets done first. I think that'll be the real telling, you know. And then I've got a couple of other tiki mug things sort of in the works, but nothing's firm yet because this Smithsonian gig is kind of like my main thing that I'm focused on right now. I don't really have any time for anything else other than that in like my daily comic work. But I do have the Octo Tiki is still in play, and then there's another one that I haven't told you guys about yet that might be happening. And obviously, if and when I'll be drawing it here, you guys will see it first. So no worries about that. But and then I have a pretty decent idea for a Mai Tai glass that I've been wanting to draw. So maybe in a week or two, when the Smithsonian stuff calms down a little bit, hopefully I can hop in here and do that. Because I'm kind of excited about this Mai Tai idea. But as always, you guys will let me know if it's a good idea or not. You'll be like, no, Brian, that sucks. Or you'll be like, yeah, Brian, that's so cool. But yeah, that's kind of an update on all things Tiki. And then, of course, I do have Tiki art at octopolis.com. So, hey, Renee, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us tonight. So yeah, so that, go to octopolis.com, check out some of the Tiki art there. And if you want to commission a sketch, contact me too. I haven't officially opened my sketch commissions at all in 2021, but as people have reached out, with things they've wanted done, I've just been doing them. So I don't really have a big list like I normally do. So yeah, if you have a commission you want, maybe now's the time. Gonna put just a little bit of wood grain on these guys with the pen, but we'll probably do a little bit more with the paints and stuff. Just kind of hinting at it here. Hey Quinch, if you're out there, will you run the socials or just do something so I can see that the chat's working? I don't know if my chat froze up or not. But yeah, I definitely look forward to a chance to go back to the Disney parks once it's safe to do so. So what'd you guys think about this San Diego Comic-Con special edition Thanksgiving weekend announcement? Good, bad, in between? Oh, thanks, Quinch. I see the chat seems to be catching up. Thank you so much. Catherine says, I love seeing all the Hawaiian shirts. How many do you have? The answer is not enough. Not enough Hawaiian shirts. I probably only have, it's less than 10. It may only be 5. But Christy found, I don't know, was this brand one? She found a good brand that has a lot of unique designs. And she keeps encouraging me to get on and do some shopping. Now, my birthday is next week. So who knows? Maybe she'll, she might not. I have no idea. But maybe she'll get me a new Tiki shirt for my birthday. That would be cool. But yeah, not enough. That's always the answer. Whitney says we're super quiet. I know, I was freaking out. I'm like, the chat has been kind of really banging the last couple weeks. You guys are all too mellow tonight. Am I too mellow? Is my vibe too mellow? Do I need to hype it up? You're like, in a world where tikis exist in Disney, the hottest Liki Tikis come to Tiki Tuesday. Watch in awe as Brian Miller draws the Liki Tikis. Is that better? Is that what you guys want? All the hype? Ash Corbin says, I feel your pain with missing Disney. Been watching some of the YouTube live streams to try to bridge the gap. Yeah, I hear that. Man, I'm a sucker for those Disney food blog videos. I don't know if you guys watch those or not. But they're so nicely produced. And her voice is very soothing, I think. For me, at least. And I find it interesting that she's not in the videos. I even wonder, is the person who does the voices really have anything to do with Disney Food Blog, or is she just someone they hired to do the narration? I have no idea, right? But I haven't been to their website in a while. I always found their website to be really like convoluted and hard to navigate, but their YouTube videos are really excellent, and they're really good at the like the YouTube headlines and the little icon, to get your interest, like top 5 worst foods at Disney. You're like, oh, I have to know, or that kind of stuff, and they get me every time. But they're entertaining. I never feel gotten. I always feel like, oh, that was worth my time. So I like those quite a bit. Whitney, redeemed to hydrate. Cheers to you. Time for a refill. Ash Corbin says, Disney Food Blog, DFB. Whitney says, Catherine is snorting laughing over here. Okay, well, that's good. Whitney says, oh, we watched the last Blockbuster finally last night. Good stuff. Yeah, I liked it. Let me get a refill, guys. Yeah, last Blockbuster. So for those that don't know, I worked at a Blockbuster Video in college. I worked at a no-name video store in high school. I was a theater geek, so all about the movies and stuff. So yeah, the last Blockbuster I thought was good, and they had like a nice mix of cameos and celebrities and stuff in that. Seemed like a very well made documentary. The woman, the manager, I mean, gosh, like talk about a lifer. I mean, she was like so dedicated and like breaking apart those old computers to salvage parts to keep the POS system going and everything. It brought back a lot of memories, I mean. College was kind of fun times anyway, but working in Blockbuster was, it really wasn't work. It was a fun time. And other than the, Friday, Saturdays were hectic, but, it was a good time. People were coming in and be like, hey, what's out? What do I want to watch? I like this kind of movie. What do you recommend? I mean, it was a very social atmosphere, and especially being in a college town, there was a lot of cool people working there. So it was very good time. Bug in my glasses. That was weird. So yeah, if you haven't watched it, check it out. It was fun. And I think Kevin Smith and some of the other people that are in it, make it entertaining as well. But it's just a good story. And especially about sort of the like hows and whys of them going out of business, and stuff like they could have bought Netflix, or some of the other like just funny, like in hindsight's 2020, of course, but just some of the mistakes that the parent company made that took Blockbuster from one of the like largest companies, most successful companies, to just bottom of the pile. It's kind of crazy. And to see a company that size grow and then fall in that kind of span of time is almost unheard of. So yeah, it was kind of cool. Definitely check it out. Quinch Press says, not sure what to think about the Comic-Con thing. I'm flying to England after Thanksgiving dinner, so I will be out of the country myself. Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about it either, really. I've never been a big fan of the convention over Thanksgiving. I mean, I used to have to do Mid-Ohio-Con over Thanksgiving. And I mean, as much as I enjoyed the show, it was just always, if you have any kind of family relations at all, it's a little inconvenient. Obviously, if you don't, maybe you don't care. And I understand that they're, look, I'm not against it. Like, they're like, hey, it's going to be a small gathering. And look, we all know, right? It's essentially a test run. They want to do a test run. They want to figure out how things are going to work before next year. And that part makes sense. I think if the timing was different, no one would have complained, or much fewer people would have complained. But the Thanksgiving thing after COVID and all that really threw a lot of people into a tizzy. So we'll see. But it definitely seems a little odd as a vendor, like someone who has a booth at the regular Comic-Con. They sent us an email today, but really didn't have too much information. So, unless they require us to be there to maintain our booth space for next year, I don't imagine it would be really high on my list. But I know other people, it's going to be at the top of their list, so it's okay. It's okay. Ash says, All Ears and Tim Tracker are the other bloggers I've been watching. Resort TV 1 does regular live streams. You know what, Ash? I like the Tim Tracker videos a lot. The first or second year I was at Festival of the Arts, maybe the second year, he came by and met me at the Star Wars gallery, and he was super nice, but he admitted like he's not into Star Wars at all, so it like wasn't his thing. But I told him, I was like, well, I like your videos, and I'm glad you stopped by and said hi and everything. But I do think that the Tim Tracker videos are very entertaining, especially they also went to Silver Dollar City in Missouri. I'm originally from Kansas City, and so to see them go to like places I visited in my childhood, they went to for the Christmas Spectacular or whatever, and that was kind of fun too to see. So yeah, Tim Tracker, very, very entertaining. I'm not sure I've watched All Ears, so maybe I've seen some of their videos, but I'll have to check it out. Whitney says, the guy from Troma was very interesting. Viacom wrecked them. They could have been something. It's crazy seeing their fall so fast. Yeah, it really, you're right about that. You know, I mean, the only example I have that's similar is when AOL and Time Warner merged, and all of a sudden, you know, AOL owns DC Comics. They didn't know what to do with any of that stuff, you know? I mean, they're like, yeah, we made a bunch of money and we're super successful and we want to acquire other successful media companies. But I mean, they had no clue. They just didn't know. And I kind of feel like Viacom is the same way. And even AT&T. I mean, AT&T buying up Warner Brothers and HBO. I mean, I guess technically I work for them on comics, but do the people inside of Warner Brothers really think that the people at AT&T know anything about like making movies or making comics? I mean, I doubt it. So it just seems kind of crazy. And yeah, the guy from Troma was interesting, especially, you know, something you don't think about is that before Blockbuster, a lot of the video stores were sort of anything goes. And I remember when I worked at the video store that I worked at was called Cedar Chest. It seems like a weird name, except for there used to be this chain of gift shops called Cedar Chest. And so when they had the idea to do video stores, they just named them all Cedar Chest Video. So if you're not from that area, it doesn't make any sense. But if you were from that area, it was kind of like a known name. And so when I was at Cedar Chest Video, you know, a lot of the stuff they rented out was the non-rated horror films and sort of like Skinemax stuff and everything. You know, stuff that's not, it's not X-rated. It's not as bad as anything you could find on the internet now. But it was a little bit risque, you know, maybe some uncovered boobs or something like that, right? Or some horror film with some gore in it, or Faces of Death or something like that. And, you know, that was a lot of what people, they wanted to check it out because it was different. It was stuff you couldn't see on television. And when Blockbuster came along, they pushed all that stuff out, including like the Troma horror films and some of that stuff. So it's definitely something that, you know, I don't think a lot of us have thought about, but, you know, we make all this noise about like, you know, freedom of speech and freedom of choice and the free market and all this kind of stuff. But, you know, if you're an independent filmmaker or independent comic book maker or whatever it is, I mean, the more media consolidation there is, the lower your chances are to get your product out in front of an audience. And that sucks. It sucks if you're like a creative person and you have a voice and you have something you want to share with people and you have like a small and excited fan base, but you can't turn that into a big fan base because the powers that be are like, nope, not you. You don't get a seat at the table. No one new gets to discover what it is you do because we've decided that what you do isn't good enough or doesn't fit the mold of what we have established as being right. And that sucks. It sucks so hard. Winnie says, I wish we could have avoided family dealings for Comic-Con. Well, I understand that. My best Thanksgiving Comic-Con memories are definitely Mid-Ohio Con when it was still downtown. And I get to hang out with Adam West at the bar the night before con, and then during the con I got to meet Yvonne Craig and Frank Gorshin, and this is when cons were still really small, and so if you were an artist, you were pretty much in the same hotel and green room and everything as the celebrities, and so we all had lunch together and dinner together and all that kind of stuff, and it was good times. It's definitely not like that anymore. Quinch says, I never have any family obligations after Thanksgiving night. It's the day, and then I'm done. I usually appreciate having something to do that weekend. Whitney says, similar to how Disney has no clue what to do with the Muppets, which is so sad. Hey, Whitney, what'd you guys think of that newest season of the Muppet Show where they sort of like updated it as like an internet show? I'll say I didn't hate it. I thought it was better than the previous attempt to reboot the Muppets. It wasn't brilliant, but it was a step in the right direction, in my opinion. Ash says, people will complain about any kind of change, so regardless of the weekend, there was bound to be backlash on San Diego due to limited attendance. Yeah, I agree. No matter what they say, there's going to be people who are excited and people who are anti. I mean, that's just the way of the world these days. Whitney says, Tacoma and Seattle had two of the greatest video stores, Stadium Video and Scarecrow Video. Those are good names. Quinch says, I have a new arriving tomorrow. Highly recommended from someone I trust. 2 kinds of privateer rum. Oh, and he's got the links in there. All right. Sounds good. Quinch says, so jealous of you meeting Yvonne Craig. So yeah, I met her twice. I met her once officially at the con. And then we actually got to ride the elevator together at the hotel. And of course, a little kind of small talk that you try to do in the elevator with Yvonne Craig. So I would have been like 19 or 20 at the time. And I was, look, I mean, the truth is I was probably one of the youngest people who was excited about like Frank Gorshin and Yvonne Craig. It was mostly people who were much older than me. And so, she was very nice and very friendly. And I think, what I try to do when I meet people like that is I try to talk to them about the thing they're less known for. So I think we talked about, in like Flint, Armand Flint, where she plays like a Russian ballerina, and then she gets to go and tell me about her dancing career and stuff. So it was fun. It was a good time. I keep thinking one of the cat women was at that, but maybe not. Maybe not. I can't remember. But it was a big Bat reunion year, which was kind of cool because I grew up watching reruns of all that stuff, and I think my first experiences with Batman were probably the Super Friends cartoon. I think he showed up on Scooby-Doo a few times, the old Adam West show, and then at a certain age I was old enough to like get comic books and stuff. I'm sure, I had tons of Batman toys and coloring books and everything. Whitney says, it was good and bad. I didn't hate it either. I guess you're talking about the Muppets, the newest show? Yeah, I'd agree with that. It had good parts. It had okay parts. It was certainly, it felt more in the spirit of the Muppet Show than a lot of other things I've seen. And they definitely tried to update it in a way that I guess felt a little bit more natural. Like some of the Miss Piggy, sort of like Instagram-y kind of stuff, kind of felt authentic, I guess, in a way. I think that's what it is when you come to the Muppets. It's about authenticity, right? I mean, the show, it's Jim Henson and everything he touched had so much heart and soul and originality, and never really felt corporate. It always felt like he was just trying to tell the best stories he could, you know? Woody says, I remember having some Batman, Robin, and Superman dolls, and the Star Trek ones too. Actual dolls, no clue what happened to those. Probably played to death. Yep, I had the same ones. Those were the Mego figures. And if you were not careful taking off their boots, you'd snap their little ankles, break their feet off. I had the Lone Ranger and Silver also from that line, and the Silver Horse was like, I don't know, it was huge. It was like gigantic. And I had some of the Mego Star Trek figures, but I never had the Mego Star Trek Bridge playset, and my cousin had that, and it was so flippin' cool. And it had like a little spinner transporter thing. And it wasn't as cool as like the later Playmates had those Star Trek The Next Generation. They had their transporter, and it was really well done. It had like sounds and lights and everything, but I don't know. The Mego stuff was always cool, you know? So yeah, those were fun. Those were good times. I remember I had the Batman one, and we grew up. We always had station wagons, and the station wagons had like the power tailgate window, and I'd like let the Batman or Superman cape like fly in the wind as we were driving around. And one day the cape just like went right off the character. I'm like, Dad, stop the car! Stop the car! He's like, whatever. You lost it. Tough luck. I was like, oh man, not cool. And I remember that I didn't have the Spider-Man Mego, but my cousins did. And the Spider-Man Mego, you know, he had the like red hands and the red hat or face mask. But if you took his clothes off, he had the same like skin-colored like torso as everyone else. It was always a disappointment. You're like, I wanted that part to be red too. All right, just about one more guy to ink, and then we'll bust out the paints and start throwing some color down these guys. On our Liki Tikis. Liki Tiki. I like this guy. He looks like a tiki-fied version of like somebody off the Great Space Coaster or something. Did you guys ever watch that show, The Great Space Coaster? Or when I was growing up in the Kansas City area, that came on like super, super early in the morning, like 5:30 or 6 or something like that. So you could always get up and like watch it before school. With Gary Gnu. I don't think I remember any of the other characters' names, but I remember Gary Gnu. Guess it's the punny wordplay. But it's funny to think how many of those like rock band live action and puppets or live action and animation shows there were. And what, Great Space Coaster, Kid Video, Kids Incorporated. I know there was another one. So many of those. Typical of like Hollywood and TV, you know, once there's like one thing that hits, like they all jump on the bandwagon, right? They're like, we can do our version of that. And we don't even have to do it well because people will watch. Speaking of watching, Christy and I checked out the first couple episodes of The Irregulars on Netflix. It's a pretty cool show. I'm digging it. Kind of Sherlock adjacent, I guess we could call it. I think Winch Press might have watched them all already, but I've only watched the first two. But I enjoyed it. And more importantly, Christy's enjoying it. So it means it's something we can watch together, which is always a win. Liki Tikis! Whitney says, I remember that show, but also couldn't tell you anything about it. I do remember more about Sid and Marty Krofft, although that's frightening today. Yeah, man, Sid and Marty Krofft, they had a couple of decent shows. I never did watch that horror film, though, based on the Banana Splits. It looked like it could be interesting. But I think Land of the Lost was probably the one that I watched the most. I think most of the stuff they made was before my time, but definitely watched Land of the Lost. I kind of half remember whatever that goofy space show was with Ruth Buzzy and Gomer Pyle. But I mean, I don't know if those were reruns. I have no idea what that was, but yeah, Land of the Lost was always cool. And like, man, those Slee Stacks, they scared me so much as a kid. And that stuff looks lamer than old Doctor Who monsters now, you know? I mean, just like, really? I swear the only reason that stuff was scary at all was because the sounds would be like, they'd do all the like hissing and stuff. Quinch says, I did watch all the episodes of The Irregulars. Ash says, didn't Great Space Coaster come on around the same time as Electric Company? If you mean year-wise, yeah, probably. Growing up in Kansas City, Great Space Coaster was on early in the morning, and then Electric Company came on like after Sesame Street. So that'd be like, I don't know, 9 or 10 in the morning or something like that. I have no idea. I know that we had like our lineup, man, like, you knew right when the I Love Lucy reruns were on. You knew right when the Tom and Jerry reruns were on. And I kind of miss the idea of a daily show. You know, we were talking about that during the Jim and the Hologram sketches. That concept of like a show that's on with a new episode every day. It's kind of I don't know. I don't feel like it's a thing that anybody does anymore. And I never experienced it, but my dad told me when TV first came around, there would be like 15-minute long shows that would be on every day. So almost like the old serials or something, but I guess the advertisers decided that like 30 minutes and 1 hour were best. But there were so many crazy cartoons and stuff when I was a kid. I mean, Turbo Teen and Pole Position and just all kinds of nutty stuff. Dundar the Barbarian. I mean, I kind of feel like the networks just like let those cartoon companies just like try whatever they want. And they're just like, yeah, whatever. If the kids watch it, we'll let you run it. We don't care. They're like, can you make us money? Okay, make your cartoon. Just as long as kids tune in. All right, so we got the basic inks done. I'm going to grab some paints and we'll get this thing going. But first, a bit of housekeeping. So just for those that don't know, we are giving away this Cobra Kai sketch. This one is donated to us. Evan, Mr. E2 Color, he had me do this commission and we're giving it away. So anyone who joins Patreon or becomes a follower here on Twitch, or not a follower, a subscriber here on Twitch. Different thing, right? So subscriber on Twitch or joining us on Patreon, you will automatically be entered to win this. So please consider doing one or both. And the other bit of housekeeping is be sure to come back Thursday for the final part of our Jim and the Hologram epic sketch. So you can see we've got Shayna, Jim, Kimber, and all that's left is Aja. So we'll be doing her on Thursday night. So be sure to come, or Thursday day. So be sure to come back Thursday to see that and become a subscriber on Twitch or join us on Patreon. And you can be entered to win the Cobra Kai sketch. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. All right, back to the Liki Tiki. Quench Press redeemed hydrate. I'll get to that in just a second, Quench. Cheers to you. Almost gone. I'll have to nurse it. Whitney says, there is a sports bar called Pole Position in Tacoma that's attached to a strip club. Perfect name. Oh, no. Oh, I didn't expect the strip club thing. Oh, no. That's too much. Ash says, the cartoon gig turned into a search for what they could turn into toys. Yeah, that's true, isn't it? That is true. Whitney says, that's epic. I hope you're talking about one of the sketches and not the Pole Position being part of a strip club. All right, let's start to put some colors together for these tikis. We'll start with our green foliage in the background. That should be fun. Green, green, green. And some more green. Let's see, we'll try to, well, I don't know if we can get how much we can get the palette in frame here, but we'll try to get a little bit in there. Gonna mix up a pretty decent batch of green, I think. Might want to add a little bit of yellow to that. Going with the acrylics tonight instead of the gouache. Just plays nicer with the inks, I think. So I thought it'd be appropriate tonight. Let's put a little bit of yellow in there. Yeah, you guys can see that. All right. We still got our extra sheet. Hey, we do. I didn't forget it this time. That's always good because we need it. Test our colors out. That's a little intense. Let's a little bit lighter, a little bit more yellow. Don't want to overwhelm anybody here. All right, we're going to cut that. Making me mix colors tonight. When he says, why not both? He says, no, the gym commission is epic. Well, thanks. I've been having a ton of fun with it. I really kind of gone overboard. At least Christy thinks I've gone overboard, but I am a gym fan. And I hope that the new guy or gal who is getting this as a commission, I hope they like it. I hope they like it as much as I have enjoyed making it. Because let me tell you, it's going to be really hard to give it away now. But that's okay. I will live to create another day. All right, let's see if we can just tone this green down a little bit. Push it more towards a less saturated. Just put little bits of color in it to take some of the saturation out. I can already tell it's looking better. We're going to go pretty thin on that too, I think. Oh yeah, that'll be much nicer. All right. Now we just need to thin it down a bit. That should work. Well, while we're on our retro theme, if you had to pick some 80s or 90s cartoon or live action show to either remake or reboot or do something with, what would you pick? What's something that maybe seems kind of forgotten that you think can be brought back in a way that's either better than it was or a way that you know would be respectful to the original, I guess, for lack of a better word. For me, it's always been Johnny Quest. I even did like a tribute comic called Tommy Trek once, which was a lot of fun. But that would be the thing I would. And they've tried to reboot it in the past, but it always seemed a little either ill-timed or ill-conceived. I don't think they've done a good reboot. But that would be one I would like to. It's essentially a Indiana Jones or Lara Croft kind of story. Only with with kids as it's kids and adults, and I think that's what makes it, right? Is that I think too many of these reboots try to eliminate the adults from the story and go with only kids, or they make it like too serious and too grown up. And I think the charm and what made Johnny Quest work was that it was both. It was that you could, as a child, you could imagine yourself being like a Johnny Quest and being in sort of his situation, his shoes. But you still had the adults to like rely on for like the, some of the fights and money and technology and stuff. And I think that's kind of what made it work. So kind of like Spy Kids in a way, but I still think Johnny Quest is like way cooler. Ash says Mask. Yeah, Mask is a good one. I think there's been rumors many times of them doing something with Mask, especially now that Hasbro has their sort of like Hasbro universe. But yeah, Mask would be a good one. I like that. I remember watching the cartoon. I think I might have been a little too old to play with the toys, but I definitely remember people had them. Just don't remember what time that was, but I definitely remember the cartoon being cool for sure, and thinking that a lot of the vehicles were cool. Whitney says Automan and Street Hawk. Yeah, I think Toy Galaxy on YouTube, they've done quite a few things about Automan, and I definitely think that's right. I mean, some people go, "Oh, it's a Tron ripoff," or whatever. It's like, well, maybe, but Battlestar Galactica was a Star Wars ripoff, but they still made it cool, and so I think there's an argument that you could do something really cool with Automan or Street Hawk. Especially like cars were not cool for a while, but now with like Tesla and stuff, all the sort of vehicular stuff is cool again. So I think there's definitely a way you could make those kind of characters cool and have people in. Like if you did like a Netflix limited series with like a nice budget and cool effects and a good story, people would be into that, I think. I mean, we've seen Stranger Things happen. What? When he says, yeah, Ash Mask is a good one. Ash says, that was the one that I managed to have the whole toy collection of growing up. Wow, that is really cool. It's so hard to have a whole collection. I think I managed to get the whole collection of the first maybe 1 or 2 years of the G.I. Joe figures when they came out in the 80s. But, I mean, after that, there was just so many of them, there was no way. Well, I've got this light green. Let me just rough in some of this. Whitney says, Manimal! I'm sure none of these shows were good, but I remember loving them. I agree with you. Like Misfits of Science. I have no idea if that was any good, but I watched it faithfully because I was definitely their demographic. I was not a jock and I was not cool, so I was ready to watch that show. Other kids are like, "Hey, did you see Monday Night Football?" And I'm like, "Hey, did you see Misfits of Science?" They're like, "I don't know what that is." You're like, "No, it's on television." They're like, "Uh-huh." You know, it's a real show. There's this girl in there named Courtney Cox. Boy, she'll be something one day. They're like, "Yeah, right." When he says the mask toys were awesome, I hated the changes they made to the mask later on, assume because they were less choking with larger sizes. Stupid child safety rules. Don't come in here and ruin my toys and my childhood with your stupid rules. What do we think about the Ghostbusters reboot that there are a sequel? I mean, obviously it's was supposed to have come out during COVID, so I don't know when they're going to release it now, but the trailers certainly look promising. And I think they're smart to use some actors who are sort of hot right now. When he says, I keep hoping for a good G.I. Joe movie. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I kind of feel like the one that John Chu did wasn't horrible, or it was... I mean, it was very Snake Eyes centric, and I definitely think he tried. But yeah, boy, that first one. Whew, it had so many... Not so many, but it had some good actors in it. And, yeah. And whichever the one is with Bruce Willis in it. Yeah, you're right. We just need a good G.I. Joe movie. I can't rationalize it. I tried. I try to give things a chance. I'm such a fan. I'm like, I want it to be good. And then you're just like, really? I think, though, what happens is so many of these properties become popular because of the writing skills of, like, certain, like, TV writers or animation writers or stuff. And then as soon as they get their Hollywood deal, they're like, okay, let's get rid of those people. They're not qualified to write for a film. We need to bring in the movie writers. And then obviously there's some good movie writers, don't get me wrong, but it seems like a lot of the ones that get their hands on those properties don't understand why people like those characters to begin with and just like screw it up. It's like, no, you fundamentally don't understand why this is a good character, whether it's a toy film or a comic film. I mean, I think we all know those movies, right? Where you're like, that character would never, ever do that thing that you have them doing as like their primary thing. All right, so we've got our foliage roughed in there. Give our Liki Tikis an environment to inhabit. When he says the trailers for the new Ghostbusters do look pretty good. I know, right? I mean, that's the thing. The trailers look all right. So, I mean, they haven't shown us too much yet, but it has promise. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Ash says, I'm actually pretty jazzed for the new Ghostbusters. Yeah, I mean, I hope it's as good as the trailer makes it out to be. I want it to be good. I'm a cheerleader. I'm a Ghostbusters cheerleader, let me tell you. And it's not like the second Ghostbusters film was the best movie ever made anyway. So, I mean, you know, the first one was just genius. But the second one wasn't. So it's not like they have that high of a bar to live up to. And by the way, Ash, thanks for hanging out tonight. I know I'm doing your commission tonight. Sometimes people don't hang out, so it's nice to have you here. I appreciate it. Along with all of our regulars, thanks for being here. Good to see everybody tonight. Quench Press says, I'd really like a live-action Ultraman movie that's like the original. The Netflix animated series a year or so ago just didn't do it for me. Quench says, I'm also interested to see what happens with Buck Rogers reboot. That's been going on for a couple months. Yeah, I mean, I was down with the Buck Rogers TV show. That was like a big deal. When I was a kid, like that was like family viewing. Like everybody was down for Buck. Like Dad liked Buck Rogers, Mom liked Buck Rogers. I think she thought all those guys were sexy. Hawk and Buck and all those guys, and like it was a big sensation. Everybody was into that, and it'd be nice to see them. I mean, maybe you can't recapture that like specific moment in time or whatever, but it was definitely a big deal. So it'd be nice to see it be successful. Catherine, I see your hydrate. Let me get a refill. That's what I'll do. I'll make a new cocktail, but I'll make like a rum old fashioned or something. So, hey guys, let's hang on for 60 seconds and I'll be right back. And we're back. Cheers, Catherine. Thanks for the hydrate. Oh, no, that's not bad. Not bad at all. A little golden rum, some Cointreau, dash of bitters. Yeah, that'll work. Quench Press says, you already talked about Buck Rogers. Pshaw. No, I like Buck Rogers. I think I actually had some of those toys. And remember that the figures maybe weren't anything special, but the vehicles were pretty cool. And of course, Quench Press and I have a special connection to Buck Rogers because we get to hang out with Gil Gerard and Aaron Gray and sing Happy Birthday to Buck Rogers one year. That was really fun. A fond memory, for sure. Good times, as they say. So I'm just going to do a light wash of this like teal blue, and then we can go back in and maybe put a couple little like details over top of that. These guys are pretty colorful, so we'll just build up the colors a little bit here and there. Catherine says, cheers! Or cheers emote, one of the two. But yeah, Buck Rogers was cool. I think, Star Wars just kicked off such a big like sci-fi, I don't know, like a reboot of all things sci-fi. That it was kind of like it was a golden age in a way. I mean, even if they weren't all good, like we had just so many cool things to watch. Buck Rogers, Battlestar Galactica, Thundar the Barbarian. Disney had the Black Hole. Man, that was a trippy film. I know people who were like totally terrified by that movie. And of course, like Alien and Aliens were out about that same time. I'm sure there's some that I don't remember, but it was a lot of sci-fi stuff coming out. Ash says, I'm pretty sure that Brian just dissed the Muffet and Tweaky action figures. I actually have a friend who he collects action figures and does like art installations with photos of action figures. And what he'll do is he'll spend like a whole year tracking down figures. And so one year he did get all the Galactica figures, every one of them. One year he got all the Tron figures, including like some that never came to America that were only released in Europe. And then he went off on crazy tangents. Like he got all of the Love Boat action figures. And even he admitted they weren't good, but he was just like, it's just something to do. Just another collection to complete. And he has like really nice display cases in his house and stuff for him, but I don't know. Tweaky versus Muffet. I think I'm a Tweaky guy. I think I'd rather have the beady than like the robotic bear dog thing. If I was a kid, I mean, I thought Muffet was kind of cool, but I would definitely be like, if I had to have one to like as a kid, like have for real, it would be Tweaky all the way. He was just cooler, like. Yeah, he was a robot, which is cool anyway, but he could also like hang out with Buck Rogers and like everything from like battles to the nightclubs to fighting space pirates. Like he could do it all. And like he could carry around Dr. Theopolis, which was kind of rad. It's kind of interesting to think like it seems so crazy, like, in the future, there's artificial intelligence that, dictates to people like decision making and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, we have that now. It's just called algorithms. At the time, it just seems so bizarre. Like, oh, I'm not letting a robot tell me how to live my life. And now people are like, Siri, tell me what to do. Surprised she didn't actually come on. Ash says, collecting Love Boat may be the sign that you've gone completely off the rails in action figure collecting. Yeah. I think luckily it's a pretty small collection. Like, who are the main characters? We have like Captain Steubing, Doc, Gopher, whatever Captain Steubing's daughter's name was, Vicky, or was Vicky the one that was the coordinator for like the activities? I don't know. So it's a pretty small collection. Like I don't think there's that much, but I think he like collected all the A-Team figures, which that's kind of cool. But yeah, I think if you're going after the Love Boat toys, you're like you just have too much time on your hands, right? You're just too hardcore at that point. That's where you're like, well, is this ironic or is this cool? I'm not sure. Or is it ironically cool? Quinchfra says, a Voyagers reboot would be kind of fun, but I feel like there have been similar time travel shows since then. I don't know if I remember Voyagers. You guys will have to... You have to jog my memory about that one. I remember the BBC had the Tripods show that would be on like after Doctor Who as a kid. That was always rad. Whitney says, was there a love boat like a USS Flag? No, there wasn't, but that would be a night. Like Hasbro should have got in on that and just like repackaged it. Ash says, yeah, 7-foot love boat, maybe the stuff of nightmares. Yeah, like, could they just make the USS Flag and just make it white and like put stickers on the guns so that they're supposedly not guns or something? Like, it's the firework cannon for celebration night on the Lido deck. Or maybe it ships without the guns, but there's just like holes in the ship where the guns would snap in or something, and you're like, this seems strange. They're like, they're drain holes for when you're having your water adventures. You're like, I don't know about this. Yeah, the USS Flag logo. That's pretty funny. I haven't seen him in over a year, obviously, but when I do see my Fred, I will try to remember to tell him that because that's kind of funny. So I still got quite a bit of detail to do on these guys. But what do you think about these Liki Tikis? They're kind of cool, right? I mean, love the idea that you're at Disney. It's a hot day. You're hanging out. You're thinking about maybe getting on the Jungle Cruise. Next thing you know, you got some tikis like spitting at you. Come on, that's pretty cool. That could be fun. All right, let's get a little bit darker blue. Working here. Oh, I'm really loading this brush up now. It's gonna love that. Go a little bit more blue. Ashley's like, and those drum beats from the tikis. Yeah. Yeah, I saw, what do you guys think about the, obviously, you know, Jungle Cruise is getting some changes to be a little bit more, politically correct's not the right word, but to be more respectful of different indigenous peoples. And then, of course, the movie is coming out with the Rock. So what do you guys think about the Jungle Cruise film? Is that something that you are excited for, not excited for? I mean, the trailer doesn't show much, but it definitely looks like it could be a fun film. I mean, it looks very heavily inspired by like the African Queen or something, at least their wardrobe. But it's like a lot of things. I want it to be good. I hope it's good. And Emily Blunt, she can be okay. I don't know how her chemistry will be with The Rock, but she's a good enough actor, one would imagine that she can make you believe that she has chemistry with The Rock no matter what. Ash says, if you walk by the tikis without mimicking the drums, you may be dead inside. That's pretty good. Or at least like dancing to the drum beat, right? A little. Yeah, I hear you. I totally hear that. Now this is a great idea for sketch because I think we've done the Trader Sam's sign and like a few other things, but not these guys before. So this is a great fun sketch. And I gotta say, I was like, oh yeah, there's there's like 6 of these guys, but it won't be. This is complicated. This was like, there's so much little tiny details on these guys. It's kind of crazy in a way, but it's still fun. Still fun. But it's definitely, it's more challenging than I thought it was going to be, just because there are so many little details on them to try to do as a drink and draw sketch. Quinchpress says, Voyagers had a time traveler by the name of Phineas Bogg. The time device looked like a large pocket watch. He ends up getting a sidekick from an orphan teen. Wait, he gets a sidekick from an orphan teen, or he has a sidekick who is an orphan teen? Like the orphan teen comes up and he's like, Psst, hey buddy, do you want a sidekick? I got a sidekick. You want a sidekick? I can hook you up with a sidekick. Or he's like, hey, I'm an orphan teen. Can I be your sidekick? Whitney says, it looks fun even though it's a movie based on a ride. Ashley's like, can she smell what The Rock is cooking? Quinchpress says, the sidekick is an orphan teen. Okay. Thanks for clarifying. Because, I mean, if you get the sidekick from an orphan teen, that could also be an interesting story. Like, what's the orphan teen's motivations? Does the orphan teen know the sidekick? Okay, my cat is going to break the stream because we've got some like little gnats in the house or something because of the heat. And the video light is attracting the gnats. And now she's looking like she wants to jump up on the light, which means it'll just come crashing down. So if everything goes black and the stream goes away, you will know exactly what happened. It was my little demon kitty trying to defend her household, attacked the insects and destroyed the stream. All right, getting some of the blue details. How fun is that? Quinchpress says a live action G-Force would be awesome. That would be awesome. I love me some G-Force. That and Voltron, but I think G-Force, that would be really cool. Yeah, every time they act like there's going to be a new G-Force movie, I get so excited, and then like it never happens. Never. Never comes to fruition. Like, really? Come on. This is why we can't have nice things. Man, I'll tell you guys, I was so sad when I learned that Jessica Walters died. You know, she was so good in Archer as Mallory Archer. Really enjoyed her in that. So good in Arrested Development. Really, really sad that she passed away. She just had like the most perfect comedic timing, you know? I mean, like, right up there with the best. You know, in every way, like, for sure. But yes, live action G-Force would be cool. I kind of feel like we have the CG technology to do like a really kick-ass Voltron film. And they did the like Netflix animation series, which was okay, but it still doesn't really scratch my itch like for like a really good version of the story, you know? I'm like, come on guys, you could do better. I have faith in you. You can do it. But yeah, those are all good ideas. I mean, there's just so many great properties and stuff that have lying dormant for so long. Oh, Quench Press. Did you see the sizzle reel for Last Starfighter sequel called The Last Starfighters? I think that was released a day or two ago. So it's just some like concept art and some musical score, but apparently it's like the original creator and one of the original writers behind it. And they did a sizzle reel in hopes of like drumming up support from like either a movie studio or Netflix or one of those kind of things. Quench Press says, I did, and I loved it. Quench redeemed to hydrate. Cheers to you, Quench. Ah, it's tasty. Yeah. Last Starfighter. I mean, geez, talk about a great flick. That is sort of like, you know, it stands on its own. It's not like exactly like anything else. It's such a coming of age story. Maybe it's a little bit of a boy movie, quote unquote, you know, and that the female characters don't get, they're not the focus, for better or worse. But I mean, you know, for what it is, it was good and very original in its time, and I like the idea that instead of a reboot, they actually want to do like a proper sequel. I think that's kind of cool. So yeah, I'd be interested to see, especially with so many of the original people involved, and they're talking about having, you know, if they can get it greenlit, some of the original actors and stuff involved. That could be cool. It could be really cool. So, you know, who knows what could happen with that. But it seems like their heart's in the right place, and that counts for a lot, you know? It really does. All right, there's some blues. Now, while we've got the blue out, let's see if we can do like a little, like a water puddle kind of thing. Something really pale. Just to kind of imply our Liki Tiki guys here. And then just let that be maybe like a little bit of a shadow on the ground for them too. And that way people who know will know, but otherwise it's not distracting from the artwork. I think there's a lot of like orangey red on these guys. I think I'll do that next, and then we can do like our main like brown wood wash on this. Whitney says, is that streaming anywhere? I can't recall the last time I've seen it. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know when the last time I saw The Last Starfighter was. And I do not know where it's streaming at, although I'm sure Quench could probably look it up real quick. And Quench is talking about a Kroll movie. Now, I know Christy liked that one a lot, and I have to admit that I know you guys are gonna go crazy. That's one I haven't seen. You know, I grew up in a super religious family, and I was not allowed to watch anything except for Christian or public television. And so most of the things that I'm aware of, I watched later in life. So Kroll was not one that I got to see. So maybe I need to do some catching up, because Christy says it's really good. Like, I only saw like Lady Hawk maybe like within the last 3 or 4 years. And there's just, I mean, I missed decades of media because I just wasn't allowed to watch it. And that's one of the reasons I actually love Doctor Who so much, is because it's something, because it was on PBS, I could watch it. Even though if my mother had known what it was, probably would not have let me watch it, because anything with magic or monsters or demons or whatever was bad. Let's do like a, like a earthen kind of orangey kind of color. That'll work. That'll look good. So you guys know me, just do like a light wash, and then I'll follow it up with a little bit of a darker color, bring out some of the detail. I think we'll do like our wood browns last on these guys. And should end up looking pretty nice, I think. As always, with the caveat that, it's a sketch, right? It's not... I think it's always important to keep that in mind, that it's a sketch paint that I'm doing while drinking, so gotta have a grain of salt. All right, let's go a little bit darker with the color, a little bit more red in there, I think. It's funny, I've been using the gouache paint so much that going back to the acrylics, the hues, the pigments are so much different. Like on the gouache, if I had just like a drop of red, it like overwhelms everything. And then on this, it's like very even. Like you can see why the acrylics would be so much easier for most people to use, because, if you mix equal parts, you get the color you think you get. On the gouache, you have to be really careful with certain hues because they're just so much more powerful than some of the others. And this orange, I kind of want it to be like streaky and fadey, so that when I brush the wood grain on here, we can have it sort of like blend in a few places. So I'm just going to dry brush a little bit of that, and that should give us a kind of a nice effect there. All right, let's go a little bit deeper red then. I gotta check the chat. What's going on in the chat? Quench Press says... Quench Press says, I don't see Last Starfighter streaming anywhere. Have any way to watch movies in your backyard? I have the DVD Blu-ray copy of Last Starfighter and Kroll. Well, this makes sense because they said on that sizzle reel, one of the things that they're dealing with is rights issues. So maybe that's part of the struggle, as they're trying to come to some sort of agreement with whoever owns the rights to Last Starfighter before they can even think about moving forward on like some sort of sequel or something. All right, so just get in here with this little bit of like this, kind of like a red orange, more red than orange, but not pure red. And that way, when we do bring in some pure red, it'll pop a little bit more. These guys are just so fun. They're so cool. They kind of look cool. They each have their own unique personality. Which makes it kind of fun too, I think that's one of the fun things about like tiki mugs and tiki culture in general, is that they all have these like really interesting like personalities when you look at them, You rarely see a tiki mug and be like, oh, that's boring. Usually you're like, oh, that's so cool. All right, just a little bit more red here. Whitney says, looking at Amazon, $6 Blu-ray or $22 Arrow version. Quench says, I don't see it anywhere for free. You can rent it on Prime or YouTube Movies for $3.99 and Apple TV too. I mean, $3.99 is not bad for a rental, but what I don't get is a lot of those companies that do that, they won't even let you buy some certain movies, and I think that's ridiculous. I mean, you know, Last Starfighter, or even something silly like Cannonball Run. Like one night I was just in the mood to watch that. It was something that my dad and I would watch together when he was still around, and I thought, oh, that would be nice to see. And you couldn't buy it, you know. I think you could rent it, but there was no way to own it. And I thought, how lame is that? Because I have the DVD, I just have no device to play it on, you know. And I was just like, that's so lame. So lame. Uh-oh. My cat is now attacking the screen door. It's getting serious. It's getting very serious. All right. I think we're ready to mix up our woody brown color. And I'd like a little bit of just like pure red, if we can make it happen. Just one little place here. Well, if we can make it work, we'll see. Just on these little stars here, so they pop off of this orange just a little bit. Might even mix like a little bit of a darker version to get some like shadow areas in there and stuff. Oh, I'm gonna have to go grab my cat. She's being crazy. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, Indio. Tell everybody how bad you're being. Look at the camera. Tell them I'm being a very bad kitty. She's like, no, I won't do it. I won't do it. They're right there. No? Okay. She's trying to chase bugs. Bugs, bugs, bugs. All right. So let's make kind of like a brown gray kind of value. Just for the main bodies of these guys. There we go. A little bit more red. That should work. Not bad. And we can see, yeah, it's a nice kind of light brown color. Ash is like, she's just trying to protect the house. That's right. Yeah, she's definitely that kind of cat. Like, she is on patrol. She's gonna get anything that threatens the house in the slightest. All right, let's just tone this down just a bit. Now, you guys that are regulars, you know, I tend to just use the three colors, right? Red, yellow, and blue, and just kind of make everything happen from that. So sometimes that means I get to mix the colors a couple extra times, but I think this will work as our good kind of a brown base, and then we can go in and add some little like wood grain streaks and stuff to this. Should look pretty cool. I always just like to do like a light wash over everything first anyway. But yeah, Indio, like, she's definitely like, I wouldn't call her, like, she's not a watch cat or anything like that, but, you know, if she sees another animal in the yard, she'll go and like paw at the glass of the window. She's not very vocal. She won't like meow at stuff usually, but she'll paw at the glass and just kind of let us know that something's going on. And if it's like a big tomcat or whatever, she might growl on occasion. I've seen her do her once or twice. But she's usually sweet to like visitors and things, but she doesn't like intruders, you know, like. And I don't know how they know, but like If it's like a female cat, stray cat that comes into the yard, she's totally cool. But if it's a tomcat, she's just like hissing and growling. Like she knows what's up. She doesn't need anybody to tell her. She knows. So here in Arizona, it's been unseasonably warm. We're up in the mid 80s already. Normally we don't hit 100 until sometime in May, like Memorial Day weekend or something. But I think they're talking about high 90s this weekend. So we may have to turn on our air conditioning a lot earlier than we'd like to. And as you can tell, the screen doors in this house are not very good, so we're getting quite a few little bugs and stuff in tonight, which is not very pleasant. Now this tiki, it's a little paler than the others in all the reference I could find. It's kind of like more weathered. Maybe a little bit more gray overall. But it has more of like this, the main wood color, kind of on either side of the mouth here. Whereas the outside of that, it gets a little darker. So I think we'll definitely come back and add a little bit more detail to those areas. Make more like a brown gray kind of color, or darker brown, to just kind of work in some of those details. It should look pretty cool. Oh wow, thank you, Ash. Oh my goodness. Oh wow, thank you for the donation. That was amazing. Thank you for tipping. Gosh, thank you so much. That was really unexpected. Thank you, thank you. Just made my night. Thank you so much. Wow, you guys are the best, seriously. I always say, like, I don't know what I did to deserve such great friends during this pandemic, but I really appreciate all of you. Because I would not have survived or be surviving without you guys, that's for sure. Especially so much of my industry shut down completely for months and months. Some of it's still not reopened, so thank you so much. When he says the 90s, gross. When he says it was 72 yesterday and it snowed this morning. Oh my gosh. 72 sounds pretty nice. Well, normally in April, we're in the 80s here. And towards the end of April, we might get into the 90s. And we don't normally have our first 100-degree day until sometime in May. But we may hit 100 this weekend. So we'll see. Or if not, we'll get really close, like upper 90s or mid 90s. So it's definitely not the normal weather here right now. And let me tell you, all the people who are here for spring training, they're complaining and not having it either. They're just like, what is going on with Arizona? Oh my goodness, so crazy. Yeah, it's definitely been unseasonably warm here. I mean, I feel like last year we had like the craziest heat wave we've ever had. Quinch Press could probably remember, but I think we set a record for the number of days where it was over 100 in a row. And it was so hot here that even cactus were burning and dying, and that's kind of unheard of. So, global climate change, it's real. I even saw a thing that said that people who have lived in Phoenix for, 20, 30, 40 years are moving north because the weather here is not what it was when they moved here. It's different than what they were used to. So that'll give you some idea of how bizarre it's been. And thanks again for tipping, Ash. That was really, really kind of you. I was not expecting that. Thank you so much. Let that be a lesson to the rest of you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing. just doing a wash of color on these guys. Then I think we'll just mix up like a darker version of this and just really start to bring out some of the wood grains. Try to give these guys a little bit of extra life, you know. They're such cute tikis. I mean, I guess when they're not spitting on you, they're cute. Or maybe when they are, depending on what you like. So I think some of you guys know I've been watching some of the crazy old surf movies on Amazon because they have most of them. And I've got through most of the like typical Annette and Annette Funicello ones or whatever. You know, and they're all pretty sugar coated and stuff. And now I'm getting into some of the weird like second string and third string ones. And I watched one called Swing Summer. And it was a horrible transfer, first of all. Like, it looked like Super 8 film or something. But its claim to fame is it's... oh, gosh, now I'm gonna blank on it. It'll come to me. You guys will tell me. Sexy Italian superstar from the 60s. Very va-va-boom. It was her first credited speaking role in a United States film. So it wasn't the first movie. She had been extra in some American films, but this was her first like credited role. And is it Sophia Loren? I think it's Sophia Loren. And it has Quinn, what's her name from some of the surf. It has some people you might recognize, but not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. But very interesting in the way that all those other surf movies are so sort of like candy-coated, sugar-coated fluff. And this one, I guess they thought they were a real Hollywood film, even though it's clearly like super low budget. And they were trying to have a plot with like mobsters and stakes and action sequences and like it's supposed to be nighttime, but it's clearly noon. They didn't even have like a day for night filter or anything. I don't know. It's just really bizarre, really bizarre. But like I couldn't even recommend that you watch it as like a joke. But if you wanted to suffer through, yeah, Raquel Welch. That's all right, Raquel Welch, not Sophia Loren. Raquel Welch. Thank you, Quench Press. Appreciate it. You guys know what happens when I drink and draw. But the funny thing is that Raquel Welch is pretty good, but I can't figure out if she's really speaking or if they dubbed her voice. So if any of you watch the crazy movie, then you'll Swinging Summer. But it's not good. It's not good. Ash says, I'm still perplexed at who thought settling the desert was a good idea. Yeah, I'm with you, Ash. I agree 100%. Like, you know, I've been to Death Valley where they used to like mine borax and gone to like Scotty's Castle and stuff there. And I'm like, wait a minute. In like the 1800s, people were living here. This is insane. Like, it's just crazy. Like, if you weren't the one that owned the borax mine or whatever, right? Like, why would you be there? I mean, I get people are trying to get to California and gave up, but just keep going. It was better than here. Quench Press says, it's supposed to be back down into 80s by next Wednesday and stay between 80 and 84 through the weekend. Knowing Arizona will be the lowest. Man, I hope it cools off a little bit. I'm not ready for the heat wave to come yet. I would appreciate a little bit of a spring before it gets hot. So I do hope that happens. All right, that's a little too green. Let's throw a little bit of red in there because I want kind of like a gray brown, but I don't really want it to be green. So let's throw a little bit of red and maybe a little bit of yellow, and we should be back in business. Back in business, baby. Whitney's like, Courtney Cox. That's funny. Yeah, Raquel Welch. Apparently this was like, the movie was only released a year before Incredible Voyage, but clearly she made this one like, several years before. So, but she plays the typical, like she's like the nerd girl. And by nerd girl, I mean that she's in a bikini, but she has glasses on. Everyone's like, oh my God, she's such a bookworm. I couldn't possibly talk to her. And then at the end of the movie, she takes her glasses off and does like a song and dance. And everyone's like, wow, she's so cool and swell. We all want to hang out with her. And I'm like, really? It seems absolutely like prehistoric by today's standards, but I guess that's how it was back then. And we're back. Sorry guys, got some blue paint on my hands. Didn't want to ruin the sketch painting by getting some blue paint on everything. So, all right, this should be hopefully the color we want now. Finally. Oh, I think it's going to be a good one. I think we have a winner here. Quenchpress says there's almost always one cool down before it gets really hot, especially if we get some April showers. Yeah. Well, it would be nice. I like to take the motorcycle out on some like cool morning and evening rides and just enjoy the spring a little bit. And if it gets too hot too fast, then it's no bueno. All right, yeah, this is gonna work. We're gonna be able to get like a nice little wash. Get our little like wood streaks in here. This will look good. This is where all of our kind of implied detail is going to come from here. For our carved tiki guys. It makes sense that once they remade these out of fiberglass, that then they were like, oh, hey, we can put these guys in other Disney parks because we have the molds now. We can do whatever we want with this. Whereas before they just had like the hand-carved originals, and they couldn't really do much with those. I think they were getting like weathered and beat up and everything. And Disney, they don't like to have stuff look shoddy. They want it to all look nice and clean. So smart to go and make like new fiberglass versions that can just be repainted and stay nice forever. So sad for so many of my friends that lost their Disney jobs and kind of wonder now that the California park's going to reopen in some capacity, what that means for some of those people, if they'll get their jobs back or if other people will get those jobs or what's going to happen. Just get some like wood grain detail into these guys. Maybe a couple little shadows here and there. Just kind of elevate it a little bit, Just always looking for ways to like, even though it's, a fun little sketch, I want it to look cool. I want it to look nice. Quench press, ready to hydrate. Quench press says, though I'm happy to get vaccinated, I'm a little bummed that by the time I'm fully vaccinated, it'll be right when it's getting hot. Yeah, I get that. I'm just excited by the fact that more people are now interested in getting vaccinated. I think that's a really good sign. I kind of feel like so many of the states are prematurely lifting restrictions. And look, I want everyone to thrive and survive. I've I've definitely suffered during this pandemic from lost work and lost income, and I understand all the hardships that face people, and there's a lot of people doing a lot worse than me, and I have no room to complain. But at the same time, if we rush the reopenings of these things, it just means we might have to shut things down again, or we might have to take other steps again, or we might just lose more people, which is not cool. So, we want to do things right and listen to the smart people. And if the governments can do what they're supposed to do and take care of the people while things are shut down, then it won't hurt as bad. But they don't always do that, so kind of forget that they're supposed to be working for the people sometimes, But I'll tell you what's really good is that at least the vaccinations are at no cost to people, and I think that's really how it should be, and the way to ensure that most people get vaccinated. And I'm sure it could have gone the other way, so I'm glad that it is being done in a way that's fair, financially fair to everyone. So hopefully we can just get the vaccine out to all the communities and everyone who needs it. And that will benefit everybody, right? Because it only works if everybody does it. This is fun. I'm having fun with this wood grain. I hope you guys are liking this too. Add some little details to our tiki guys here. You could just kind of imagine them it's a hot day and they just they douse you with that cool water. And you're just like, Liki Tikis, take me away. Whitney says, I'm still surprised the vaccinations are free. Fully expected it to cost, and cost quite a bit. Yeah, I agree. I'm actually very, very surprised by that too. And it's good. It's how it should be. It really is. In a pandemic or something, no one should have to worry about, do I feed my family or do I get the vaccine? That should never be a concern. We've got to be much better than that. Although, there's a lot of misinformation out there. I saw a thing that said that a lot of people who were planning on not having a vaccine, it was because they thought they couldn't afford it. So we definitely need to have maybe some more outreach to let people know that, it's available to everyone at no cost. And also, people who are working jobs where they have to still go in, those employers need to let those people take the time to get the vaccine and stuff like that. I mean, without threatening to, fire them or dock their pay or whatever. And that's just ridiculous. I mean, sometimes, I understand we live in a capitalist society, but you got to be human and humane. And that person that you expect to be at work is going to be healthier and less stressed and a better employee after they get the vaccine. So it would behoove those business owners to tell their people, yeah, take the time off, go get the vaccine. We'll work around the schedule, make it happen. Liki Tikis! Coming together, they're coming together. Whitney's like, wait, we did a good thing? Yeah. It's shocking sometimes. I really like this little short, fat tiki guy. I don't know what his deal is, but I like him a lot. Maybe he reminds me of like Vincent the Robot or Oscar the Grouch or any other kind of like little short, fat dudes like that. Just working in a little bit more detail here. Just want this guy to look extra cool. All right, let's just put some little like streaks through here. There we go. Imagine this tiki having like a voice like old Bob from the Black Hole or something. He's like, old Reinhardt. He slaughtered the crew and converted them into androids. And then George Lucas steps out. He's like, did you say android? I own the trademark to that word. Bum, bum, bum. I kind of like this last guy too. He looks kind of like a little bit like an eagle. Makes you want to sing like the Steve Miller Band song or something. He's all like tall and majestic. He's like, I'm the Tiki Thunderbird. I'm here to make you tropical cocktails. Oh yeah. Just give him a little bit more. Just some more shape, you know? These guys can look like really shapely if we let them. There you go, just working a little bit of that color in. Quench says, my son is waiting to watch Robert Kirkman's Invincible on Amazon Prime. I've heard good things. Yeah, I know everyone's kind of been hyped for it. I have not got to check it out myself just yet, but I mean, it's a great comic. So one would imagine that the animated series will also be good. Let's hope. Hope for the best. All right, guys, this is getting close. I got a few little details to do, but I think we're getting there. What do you guys think about the Liki Tikis? I think they're kind of fun. Ash says, Sam the Eagle of Tikis. Yeah, I was thinking the same kind of thing. He does kind of look like Sam the Eagle. A tribute to all things Disney, but mostly Tikis. Yeah, right? Exactly. Exactly. I'm feeling you on that. Quench, if you want to start scouting for raids, we'll be there in just a little bit. Just got a few little white details I want to add back in here. Just to give this guy, all these guys, a little bit more definition. Just a little cleanup here and there. Love my white gel pen. It saves me on a lot of paint, let me tell you. Helps me keep things looking crisp and nice. You know what I mean. Just bringing out some of those little highlight details here. I don't know how clear it is on camera, but it makes a difference. It really does. Gives them just that little extra oomph that they need sometimes. All right, guys, I think we're pretty close here. Well, let me know what you think, Ash. If you like that, or if you see anything you don't like, let me know. Quench is like, I've already got one ready. Quench, renew to hydrate. Cheers to you. When he says, congrats on the sweet piece, Ash. Oh, and then we've got a cartoon theme song. Okay, we'll have to do that. Let's run the credits. I'll come back and do the theme song, and then we'll do a raid. Woohoo! Thank you, Ash. I thought for sure we had some cheers, but I guess no cheers tonight. Man, the chat was so quiet tonight. It was crazy. All you guys must be worn out from your vaccinations. All right, we're going to do the cartoon theme song. And then we will come back and do a raid. Commercial time. Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. The mate was a mighty sailor man, the skipper brave and sure. 5 passengers set sail that day for a 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour. The weather started getting rough. The tiny ship was tossed. If not for the courage of the fearless crew, the minnow would be lost. The minnow would be lost. The ship set ground on the shore of this uncharted desert isle, with Gilligan, the skipper too, the millionaire and his wife, the movie star, the professor and Marianne. They're all here on Gilligan's Island. All right, guys, we did it. We did Gilligan's Island. It's amazing. Ash says, thanks. It helps to bring back some awesome memories of home. Hey, it was my pleasure, man. I hope you liked that one. It was so much fun to do. I really appreciate you commissioning this one. I'll be sure to sign it and send it off to you. So thanks for that. See if we can get it in there nicely where we can all see it. There we go. How about we throw a signature on that? Down here, just in case you get it framed, I'll put it up a little bit. There we go. I had fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that one too. Quinch says, I'm still feeling a little fatigued. I'm also chattier when drinking. This is my first ever sober Tiki Tuesday, and it was weird. Well, we'll try to rectify that next week, Quinch Press. Okay, let me look at your who you want to raid here. Let's open up our raid box. Is that right? Is that, yep, there we go. Okay, guys. Well, get your likes ready, get your emotes ready, get your cheers ready. We're going to raid here in just a few seconds. I'm coming with you, so I'm going to raid with you guys. I'll hang out for a little while. I got to clean up the paints eventually, but I'm going to hang out. You can hang out too. Don't forget, you earn 250 channel points every time you raid. So stay on target. You know what? No, I'm going to make you wait. Subscribe on Twitch or join me on Patreon and you could win the Cobra Kai sketch. So do those two things. Come back and see me Thursday, 1 p.m. Arizona time, for the 4th and final installment of the Jim and the Hologram sketch. Don't forget to follow me on social media. Now, get yourself ready. We're going to raid. Stay on target, and I will see you guys next.